Hi, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Truelogic podcast. And today I'm being joined by a very special guest that it took us a couple of weeks to bring on. I'd like to introduce Eamon, who is the director of Beyond Impact that's powered by M-Commerce, because today we're going to be talking about social commerce, right? And so I want to start that off by saying that I think there's an estimate I read somewhere that social commerce will grow to be about 4 million in gross merchandise value in the Philippines, which is sort of chunky considering GMV for digital in the Philippines is about 31, 32 billion. So it's part of what's been contributing to the growth of the digital economy in the Philippines year on year on year on year. I think mga around 15%. And so that's why we wanted somebody from M-Commerce to join us because we've started to feel it at Truelogic where clients are asking us, okay, how do we include key opinion leaders when it comes to this campaign? How do we have influencers join us in this campaign? So we thought like, who better to bring aboard? So Eamon, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Very exciting. And tinig ko kakate, pero kinakabahan.
Yeah, no, it's a like I mean you can see this very scrappy. Like a lot of this is very natural.
Actually, we've been talking about this for like 3-4 weeks, pero
Yeah.
hindi pa natuloy dahil typhoon and everything.
Yes, I know we got rescheduled because of the typhoon.
But
But yeah, I'm glad that it's finally happening because I think it is time. If I may say so, maybe a bit late that we're trying to start a conversation about social commerce, right? Because we saw, I would say, even before the lockdowns, one of the trends that I was seeing in China was social commerce was a big deal. No, and I was saying, I think the Philippines seems to be following more along China's footsteps than it is like Western footsteps when it comes to e-commerce trends. And then lo and behold, we all got locked down. A lot of online merchants went to online selling. And then by 2021, it was a thing, right? Like there's just online sellers. Uh, but and then, of course, everybody was saying after the pandemic, oh, people will go back to store, they'll go to brick and mortar, they'll walk into the stores, like that'll go away. But it did not go away, right? Like, in fact, you built a company, like specifically making a bet on that. So, I mean, how did you guys come up with M-Commerce? Because I think the story was almost 2 years ago, I met the top grossing salesman for TikTok who happens to be one of the co-founders at M-Commerce. Right? And then we met at a Monday.com event and then it rang a bell and I think it was just a great convo. So I thought, you know what? Let's have that convo. But so why did you guys hedge a bet on social commerce? Like what was the big idea behind it?
Amazing. So firstly, M-Commerce was built by two of our lovely founders and executives. We have founders na Chinese, we have founders na Filipino din.
Okay.
What's amazing about the partnership ng founders namin was that they have experience in both the Chinese market and the Filipino market. So actually like before I came in for over a year, actually like for almost a decade, they have experience in businesses, commerce, and everything. And then for the first year nung wala pa ako, yung one co-founder namin, one of our co-founders in M-Commerce was that live host sila actually.
Right.
They were selling
Right.
they were selling like tawag dito mga rice cooker, ang tawag ng mga appliances.
Yes.
So her name is actually Via and I would like to give credits to her for building M-Commerce where it is today.
Right.
And ang maganda dun is that like our executives or our founders had very, very deep experience in importation, in businesses and e-commerce. And then Via and GB actually, they were very expert in terms of selling online.
Right.
So parang you would see them, mukha silang mga artista and whatever. And before, yung mga tao kasi when they would do live selling, parang nakapambahay lang sila,
Yes.
whatever. Via and GB said, I don't think that we should do that anymore. I feel like being a live host is something much more premium.
Right.
They actually started yung parang mag-ayos, parang host, parang sobrang professional.
Right.
And then, nung ginawa nila yun, they started with one brand. Well, like, very, very small brand talaga. And what's funny is that I had this a conversation with one of my second fathers that I mentioned earlier, founder. His name is Sir Wawi. And basically, what's amazing is that um, si Sir Wawi, he took a very, very big risk to invest in making m-commerce bigger. Because before kasi yung office sila was in Pasig.
Right.
And they saw the potential was really big. Maraming brands nag-inquire. And then they had to invest huge investment in BGC.
Right.
Because there's where the opportunities.
Correct. Sort of like why we're in Makati, right? Because
Yeah.
our clients are walking distance from
Exactly.
here.
Exactly.
Same banana.
Very same, very same. And tawag dito. So I think like the foundation of m-commerce today is because I really believe it's because of our founders and co-founders. Before I came in, sila talaga, all credits to them. They're the ones who built this foundation, and then I came in after a year,
Right.
and focusing mainly on content. Nung una, I was a director for MCN Lives, and then actually pag-apa ko pa lang ng m-commerce, I had no intentions of it was just a visit. I had no intentions in being part of this company. No intentions talaga. Pagkaapak ko lang din. Like, similar ko pagkaapak ko dito is like sabi ko sa sarili ko, I believe I can make this company bigger. So fast forward today, it's been 2 years na I've been in m-commerce and it's still the same dream. The reason why where I am today is because of my belief and our belief as founders is to make the company bigger and make the brands bigger.
Right.
That's actually the goal. But this year, which is later, pag-uusapan din natin, when we have a business, when we have a marketing agency, we always talk about us as a founders,
Right.
whatever, business owners, and also the brands. But I think for 2026, the trend would be you should treat your creators or key opinion leaders as partners as well.
Right.
I feel like that's the direction that where we are going. Yeah.
Okay. Which I think is a good segue to like who are the stakeholders like in the whole social commerce platform, right? Like so obviously there's you guys, but you're right, there's the creators, there's the brands. I'll also add one more na the customers of those brands, diba? They're also sort of like they're part of this game, right?
They are. And actually kanina before this podcast, you mentioned something about um customers or Gen Zs. So nandun tayo, like kanina, Gen Zs,
Right.
they know if they're being fooled.
Right.
Like they know if it's not they're being sold to. So I feel like the trend today, our agency's role, kami at M-commerce or Beyond Impact, our role is really to help brands and creators communicate in a way na wherein consumers would understand the message in a way na they're not being sold to.
Right.
And it's also a taboo that you agree na I'm not sure if taboo on term, but people believe na walang loyalty sa mga Gen Zs, yeah?
Right.
But I don't believe that necessarily. I think brands or agencies or creators might be doing it wrong.
Right.
Kasi if you look at status quo, how brands do key opinion leader marketing is that
Right.
they send the product to the KOL, they send this like very commercial script,
Right.
or sometimes they shoot it themselves.
Yeah.
And people will feel it's being like commercial talaga siya eh.
Yeah.
But key opinion leaders means opinions ng mga leaders
Yeah,
in the
Right.
social
Not
companies.
what a brand had dictated that leader to
Exactly.
say.
Exactly. So,
Right.
ngayon, Sir Burns, what we do is that kami yung nasa gitna.
Right.
Like, brands, they already know how to tell a story. They
Right.
know. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure
yeah.
you know. Our role as agencies is actually helping them communicate better.
Right. How do I amplify that brand story? How do I amplify that message?
That is so true. That's how we
Right.
make it. And like, we have to make sure that creators is in the same level. Kasi hindi pwede like tayo lang as agencies and also brands.
Right.
Creators need to be in the same level. Kasi like, that's how we make people convert.
Right. Like everybody is sort of like partners.
Yeah.
Where did you guys see the demand? Or actually, I'll take a step back and say when m-commerce was founded, and then now that you're putting up Beyond Impact, how much of the work is generating the demand versus satisfying the demand in the market? Are you guys finding that you're chasing the size of the market, or do you also have to create demand for the services that you guys
That
do?
is really, really a great question, Sir Burns. Kasi for me, how I see it is that nung nagsa-start kami back in 2024 for this particular business model kasi live social shopping or live social
Right.
commerce back in pandemic pa, like our co-founders and founders have been working on it, but in terms of KOL marketing, working with key opinion leaders, it actually it became much more common for brands back in 2022 and 2023.
Right.
And I think the belief in key opinion leaders is a little bit not yet mature back then.
Mm.
So, for us, if we're gonna talk about demands, nobody believed in us back in 2023 and 2024. It was only one brand, like one small startup brand that we had become number one.
Right.
So, actually, to be honest, when that brand was successful on TikTok Shop, we had them become number one. In 2025, dun na pumasok yung mga international brands. They wanted to work with
Right.
us.
Okay.
So until today, from one brand in 2024, 2025, we've worked with 24 brands already,
Right.
international and local. And to answer the question, if I think if you do social commerce right or social marketing right,
Yeah.
then the demand will come to you. I think the demand is very high. But if you
Yeah.
don't do it right, you only look for clients or clients come to you and then you don't take care of them. You just like guide the creators and send the creators your product briefs, not caring how the results would succeed or not caring what the brand really wants. I feel like the demand is not there.
Yeah. And ultimately, I think what will wind up is you'll have a bunch of companies that do the same thing and then labanan na lang ng price, right? Like the lowest bidder wins is what
Right.
will happen if you're not valuing the relationship or the voice of the brand
That
or your
is
creator.
That is true. That is true. I think like pagdating naman sa price points or burns, like in terms of agencies, to be honest, there's two things, price of our services and price of their products.
Correct.
I feel like if we're gonna talk about price of our services, it's not actually the cheapest in the market.
Yeah.
However, you can find more alternatives.
Yeah.
However, like kami we're very results driven talaga. We
Right.
want to make sure and we care about the results that we want to produce for the
Right.
brands. The second thing is price points for the brands. Usually before, if you want to succeed on social commerce or on TikTok, you have to be the cheapest.
Right.
We don't believe that anymore.
Yeah.
We highly believe that if you convey the message correctly through content marketing, then the price point of your product doesn't matter that much. Of
Right.
course, we can still debate about if it's a product more than 1.5 or more than 2,000 pesos. Of course, obviously, the
Yeah.
potential is a little bit low if you're on
Right.
TikTok, but we believe like as long as you deliver the message through the right content and right creators, nothing is impossible.
Yeah. I'll sort of put it this way, no? Like let's say yung mas mahal na Jisoo Life na fan, right? Like I don't think getting a TikTok seller A selling a cheap alternative
Yeah.
and a TikTok seller B like selling the premium Jisoo Life one, I'm not necessarily sure the cheaper one will win every time.
That is
It sort of depends on how much the people like their influencer that sells the more expensive
true.
product.
That is so true. That is so true. I think it's all about talagang how you perfected the message na ma-incorporate sa minds ng mga
Yeah.
tao. That's
But do you help the creator figure that out,
Of
right? Like
course.
so because they are content creators, right? And what they're doing is they're always looking for what's good content to show their audiences that add value to the audience because they don't just necessarily want clicks, right? So, but they don't necessarily have experience in understanding a brand or a brand voice or, what message a brand wants to convey. So the people that bridge that gap is sort of you guys.
Yeah, so basically, we've worked with so many brands na may experience na working with different agencies. And usually, ang ginagawa lang nila is they send out like, hey, this is our brand, this is our product.
I know.
Yeah.
I
But
know. Yes.
it's in a 20 to 50 slides PDF
Yeah.
document and they send it to the creator. So this is usually what happens.
Right.
So kami, we invest time in really studying the brand and
Right.
product. We don't like inject all the information. What's the mission? What's the vision of this product?
Right.
This one
Right?
product.
Kasi you cannot expect, okay, here's the brief, common sense na lang, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
what we do is really study it and dive deep and really simplify it in a way, but we invest so much time in research and really diving deep kung ano dapat yung sabihin ng mga creators. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what we do. And yeah.
So currently, where do you guys see the demand for m-commerce and live selling and whatnot? Like, where are you guys seeing the demand from most? Is it like common sense retail? Like, is it always retail? Is it always e-commerce? Or are you seeing different levels of demand from different segments?
For me, Sir Burns, para sa akin, it's really I wish I shouldn't I prefer not to answer it this way. Pero I think dalawang in two ways ko siya sagutin. Like number one, like I feel like paulit-ulit ko kasi sinasabi, I feel like it's not something that I should say, but basically parang the demand is always there in all segments. Pero I think kailangan ko mag-backtrack konti. And to give you another perspective then with platforms, to give you this is just an example for TikTok Shop. Like ang maganda kasi sa TikTok is the only platform where you can do marketing and also see sales conversion.
Right.
This is like
Correct.
it's amazing.
Correct.
If you do it in Facebook, it's not.
Yeah.
I love you, Facebook. I love you so much. It's not the same thing. But however, like what we see today is that platforms, I won't mention the applications, but all platforms are trying to do the same what TikTok is doing.
Correct.
So para sa akin, Sir Bernard, para sa akin, yung demand right now, hindi brands yung nagko-control, I would say, or not the consumers. Yung first mover natin right now are the platforms, e-commerce platforms as well. You can sige, banggitin ko na. Just an example, like Shopee. Like Shopee or even Facebook. They're trying to integrate the same like platform. And I hope they do the same. Once they do that, the demand and opportunities is even wider. When before you're only focusing on TikTok, now you have Facebook to explore, Shopee to explore, and these other platforms, kung saan si TikTok like 5 years ago or 4 years ago or even 3 years ago. No, yung parang yung nagbebenta sa TikTok, mga very, very cheap products lang. Other platforms are experiencing the same kung nasaan si TikTok before. So right now, since these platforms are growing, the opportunities and demands are endless. Like if you have, like for example, like you, let's say, or like anyone, any agencies, if you have 25 or 50 brands right now, it's not impossible for you to move them on Shopee to give them another opportunities to grow.
So it's just one more channel. It's to be closer to their audience.
Exactly. And what happened, like when I work with different brands, is like ang focus namin is TikTok, right? I would always get this question. Pwede bang cross-post? You want like cross-post?
Because I'm gonna ask that, right? Like, okay.
Sir
So
Bernard,
can they cross live? Can they cross post?
Sir Bernard, like everyone can cross post, pero like in every platform, iba yung audience eh. The audience on Facebook is not the same audience on TikTok. In TikTok, if 80% or 70% of the users there are Gen Zs, on Facebook, 80% are
like millennials,
Gen X.
Yeah.
So the content that you're gonna convey is not the same. So like, yeah, you can.
Because doing edgy might be entertaining to a Gen Z, but might be offensive to a Gen Xer.
Sir Bernard, you get it. You totally understand. And we're not talking about like other e-commerce platforms as well. If you talk about Shopee, for example, yung audience dun is a whole new different world. Like, you're not gonna talk about Gen Zs, you're not talking about Gen X. Now you're talking to a whole universe of people who opens the app just to buy. The question is, how do you make them buy? On TikTok, you have to entertain them first, build the awareness first, trigger their interest, and then eventually convert to purchase. On Shopee, you skip the purchase. Like, it's a whole new different world. So, like, again, like, for opportunities and demand, it's endless. For cross-posting, of course it is. But, like, to convey the message properly.
Even before TikTok became popular in the Philippines, Meta had already announced, actually they were still Facebook back then, right? But they'd already announced an online selling platform, right? It's just that I think they finished it till like 80%.
I love you, Meta. I love it. No, actually, like Facebook, totoo naman, si Meta, they worked on it, and
Right.
sadly nawala kasi I was building a startup back in 2019. Doon ko na experience yung life of a businessman.
Right.
Like in pandemic, I felt like I felt like a rich man. And no, back in pandemic yun. And sadly, na tinanggal na ni Facebook or Meta yung feature where you
Correct.
can sell online. I think that's a whole new different topic on why. But
Right.
right now, like Meta, I love you. But like right now, we can see Meta is like moving forward, or I'm sorry, moving forward on building
Yeah.
like the same API or same thing as what other platforms are doing as well.
Right.
When you open Alibaba, Alibaba is like Alibaba is like
Oh yeah, that's a messy
yeah, like
marketplace.
Alibaba is like a bulk orders or who even
Yeah.
orders there like
Right.
I mean like business people. But when you open Alibaba, it's the same thing as TikTok or Shopee.
Right.
They like
Would it have anything to do with the fact that, TikTok originated with Douyin, right? Like
Douyin.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they originated with Douyin, and it was originally built for social commerce, I
That
think,
is
which is why I think the reason the platform services it so
that is
well,
true. That is true.
right? Like because I think TikTok is sort of like the social media entertainment side that got deployed to us English speakers and the US and whatnot.
That is
But in reality, Douyin was built as a social commerce platform first.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why integrating it seems so much easier. So the demand on the the demand on the TikTok selling side, what kind of companies tend to have a demand for it?
It's I prefer not to answer I prefer not to answer it this way.
Yeah.
Na we're in like
You don't need to name brands.
no, it's okay, it's okay. Like yung what I'm trying to say, I prefer not to say it na parang everyone. I
Right.
don't like to say all brands. It's not a good it's not a good answer. Pero like let me backtrack like for like 30
Yeah, go for it.
seconds. Is like back in 2023, like yung brands na nasa, let's talk about live social shopping first. Is like those cheap brands na mabibili mo na ng 100 pesos,
Right.
50 pesos. And then like if you would sell there ng parang 300 to 500, people wouldn't buy. They would go to another
Right.
platform. So that's 2023. 2024 was the rise of local brands investing their marketing and sales to social live shopping. Like
Right.
local brands like mix siya from startup local brands to established local
Right.
brands. And in 2025, it's really amazing kasi what's amazing is that international brands ang kailangan lang kasi lagi ng international brands is that, or established brands, like
Yeah.
even brands that you work with,
Right.
ang kailangan nila is showcase. Does it really work? Is it
Right.
safe?
Right.
So
I'll give a theoretic example, no, and this is a client, but I'm sure they will not take offense. So let's say top 10, no, and what they're recognized for in Korea is sila yung parang Uniqlo ng Korea. So they're like the Uniqlo of Korea. They recently entered the Philippines.
parang kilala ko to.
Yeah, but but most Filipinos have never heard about them. Like you have to be uber into
Yeah.
Korean culture.
Yeah.
Like you have to be uber into K-pop, uber into Korean drama, like to even be familiar with the top 10 brand.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are enough Filipinos that know what top 10 is. But when they entered the market, essentially anybody that's not a Koreaphile has not heard of the brand. And so this is an example of them having to drive awareness when they enter the market, right? Like, so for a brand like them, in theory, with doing live selling on TikTok, working with m-commerce, would that be better market entry for them than, let's say, doing more trad brand activations or
I
what?
understand. And for me, para sa akin, digital marketing is a whole different world talaga.
Right.
If you're gonna have like a different team handling digital marketing, and this is going to be my answer. If the question is what's going to be the first step, we have this funnel. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
very familiar with the AIPL model.
Yeah.
So the first is the first model. The first thing is like you have to build awareness,
Right.
and then the next
Educate
is
them, inform them.
yes, exactly, and then you have to trigger their interest before they
Correct.
purchase. So the biggest awareness, like in any social media platform, kahit di natin nabanggatin kung anong application siya,
Right.
is that people would assume, and I have brands working Like right now, they would assume that, hey, the like X brand, Y brand, and different brands are doing social live shopping, and they would do it like magla-live sila. However, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, pero I am. Tik, let's say TikTok. TikTok is a platform of algorithm. Like at least
Well, they
my
all
belief,
are, right? Like they
all
all
of all
are.
are. And my belief, or not actually my belief, is
From what you've studied.
from my study. Thank you
Okay.
so much. From what I've studied, um, live is only less than 20% of the algorithm. This is our belief and based on our study.
Right.
So the question is, where's the 80%?
Right.
The 80% is from videos,
Okay.
from content, from
Right.
creators. If the question is, Ayman, what's the best way to build awareness on TikTok? You start with the 80, more than 80 or more than 50%
Right.
of the algorithm, which is videos and
Right.
content.
Right.
And that's what we do, Sir Burns.
Okay.
We prioritize building awareness to creators with the right content.
Right.
What brands are doing now, not working with experts, is that okay, let's send this steak
Yeah.
to a creator who's a cooking whatever, and they cook, but they don't convert. They trigger their interest to watch, but they don't convert. Like if you see the funnel, awareness, trigger their interest, and then convert users to purchase, and then loyalty.
Right.
So purchase is the hardest thing to do. Awareness is easy. Get
Yeah.
like another influencer na
Yeah.
sikat lang. You can get
Yeah.
1 million views.
Right.
But how can you make them convert?
Right.
This is what so many people, so many brands, and so many agencies don't understand.
Right. So, but most people tap the influencers, at least for social selling, they tap them for the purchase side, right? So how do they fill in the gap of like what might be missing? I'll give an example. No, so let's do si Rio, si Coach Rio, Nike, right? Like he's the running coach, the guy with the curly hair, like uber popular. Um, he has a lot of top funnel content. He doesn't sell anything,
That is
right? Like so, you can utilize him for top funnel, but he's not gonna go on TikTok to sell shoes, right? Like that's not part of his brand. And then you've got the TikTok sellers that are always pushing like the conversion funnel, but how do you get them to fill in the content that Rio already produces?
I understand. So kami, what we do are two things. If we work with any influencer, big creators, ang ginagawa namin, we really study everything, everything about the product and brand, and everything about the KOLs that we're gonna work with. So we don't like study lang na parang, okay, hindi, si X creator, sikat siya sa gantong niche or whatever. That's the first stage.
Right.
For conversion purposes, sometimes there are cases, actually all the time sometimes it varies, depende siya sa scenario, but there are creators wherein you solely like work with them solely for awareness.
Right. So you will help them create top funnel, mid funnel content.
But sometimes there are
Okay.
creators, kahit anong ginawa mo, Sir Burns, kahit anong tulong mo, hindi sila mag-convert. However,
Right.
still good
Right.
for awareness.
Right.
Like may creators na ganito.
So I agree. To me, the story that I'll share is I used to be a very loyal Adidas fan. I would say maybe 15 years. Adidas only. These are no, I don't wear sneakers like for casual.
Yeah.
But I used to be very loyal to Adidas. All of my running shoes were Adidas. All of my hiking shoes are Adidas. All of it. Because I felt like Adidas sold me on science and I felt like Nike was trying to sell me the hype. So I didn't want to have any of the hype. And then one of my colleagues, Timo, right? Like he's my SEO manager. He's a Nike running coach. Like he paces for Nike and whatnot. Always tells me about his shoes, like great, right? Like, and so I started doing some research about Nike shoes, and then I found the Nike shoes with the carbon plate. I'm not gonna endorse. But so I found Nike shoes with the carbon plate. One of my biggest problems when you're constantly running, and I still run every day, at least 5 kilometers till today. I haven't missed a bit. But your problem is fasciitis, knee problems, like whatever. Like if you keep abusing the same parts of your body, like, and so I was looking for a solution that would, like, what could I run with every day where I didn't have to have pain in the feet of my soles, I didn't have to have any knee pain and whatnot. And so and Adidas was not solving it for me because all my shoes were Adidas. So I bought one Nike alternative. Uh, and it's a Zoom Fly. It's a Zoom. The shoe model is called the Zoom Fly. I loved it. I loved it. But what got me to a Zoom Fly is not necessarily a colleague endorsement. I started following content from runners in Singapore, runners in the Philippines, and then specifically after looking at runner content, specifically runners that use the Zoom Fly. And then I go, you know what? Let's try it, right? Like, and this is not a cheap shoe, right? Like, it's a 9K running shoe. You'll use it for, if you run like me, you'll use it for like 6 months.
Yeah.
But it's 9K, making sure you don't have fasciitis, you don't do physical therapy for your knee, you don't need knee surgery. So cheap compared to surgery, right? But that was sort of like my experience where I did wind up buying it from Nike. I didn't have a social seller selling it to me, but it was influencers that influenced my purchasing decision. Like without that content, let's say in social media channels, I would not have managed to buy the Nike shoe. And today I have like 6 pairs. I will always have like 2, 3 active Nike pairs, so I interchange them because I will burn through them in like 6 months. But I wouldn't have 2 to 3 Nike pairs at any given point in time now if it weren't for the content of those influencers.
Amazing.
Right? Like, so that's an example. And so this is sort of what I was trying to understand with m-commerce, that you guys help the brands produce that too.
Exactly.
Okay.
Rivers.
Okay.
I think we're done. Thank you so much, guys. But that's basically it. That's basically it.
Okay.
And problem, Sir Burns, I'm gonna like and this like this topic like
Yeah.
with this, like that's the main problem that our partners can sometimes convey because they have so much
Okay.
restrictions or like
Right.
they're like whatever.
Or the brand can see the tactical value in the selling portion but not in the top funnel content creation.
That is correct. No, actually,
Okay.
sometimes ano siya, baliktad
It's flipped.
Sometimes they see it in the awareness or whatever.
But they don't want to do the purchase side.
Yeah, they don't
Okay.
want to do it in the lower funnel.
Okay.
But yeah, but that's really basically the problem that we're trying
Right.
to solve. Yeah.
I'm assuming that social commerce works only on B2C, or do you have B2B models for this as well? Most of the time B2C, or probably almost all the time
I think
B2C.
almost all the time would be
Right.
B2C.
So
Yeah.
that's fair. That's fair. So that's on the brand side. A little on the creator side. Let's talk about the customer side. So I sat in TikTok hosted an event where we participated, and essentially they had us interview, like it was just a research activity, and they had us interview like a bunch of TikTok influencers, guys from athleisure to cosmetics to lifestyle, uh you name it, like a lot of it fashion. uh which sort of brings me to brand loyalty, which is what I find weird because, okay, so there's this myth that Gen Z is not brand loyal, but when you talk to these influencers, they're always telling you, "Oh no, I've got a fairly consistent following of a quarter of a million, half a million," and they're in the ages of 18 to 25. I'm thinking, they can't be brand faithful to an influencer and not be brand faithful to a brand, right? Like, so and so that's what I'm thinking, that okay, they might be practical buyers, but practical does not mean not brand loyal. But is TikTok Shop, is social commerce for 25 years and younger, or are you guys seeing a segment of the market that is older than 25?
It's a great question talaga. For at least how I see it, like based on like with the brands or we've worked with, how we see it is like majority. Let me know, Sir Burns, if I was able to answer your question, and just let me know if hindi. How we see it is majority of the customers or majority of the users is still talagang Gen Z talaga.
Right.
And we're talking about not only users but also buyers.
Right.
And the best way to succeed on TikTok pagpapasok ka is actually like doing your strategy around this generation.
Okay, I get it. So that means if you're going into TikTok and you're doing social commerce, assume that that's the market you're talking to.
That yes.
And so it goes back to what you were saying na the content that works on TikTok is not necessarily the content that will work on
That is
Facebook.
so
Right.
true. Now, right
Okay.
now we have a luxury brand partner.
Okay.
If we were partners with them on Meta, and we solely believe na hindi mag-work yung products niya on this TikTok. Yeah.
Okay.
But however,
So this is also great insight, right? Kasi not all products are meant for TikTok.
I think at this stage, hindi ako naniniwala na parang it would be forever.
Right.
Naniniwala ako na parang TikTok is going to be a super app. I think like one day if we build like the trust on the platform and people are more confident to buy much more expensive things, then the 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 potential is going to be really really big. Kasi this was Facebook even before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And just like one last thing, may tumatak sa akin nung when you were sharing Sir Burns is that like about community.
Yeah.
Before on Facebook, ang importante sa'yo friends. Like
Yeah.
marami ka dapat friends sa Facebook. That's the trend.
Correct.
And the next thing was dapat marami kang followers. That's just Instagram and other platforms that marami kang followers. But I think like in this generation, this time or this era, nakafocus yung mga creators, or I think creators should focus mostly on building communities.
Right.
By community, what I mean, I don't mean in a cliche way that you have to run every week. No, you have this profile, but you have to have a separate community where people would go, or like your followers would go.
Right.
And that's actually where your conversion to purchase or whatever.
Okay, wait. So separate from your main creator profile. So like you having two channels. Like, am I understanding it correctly?
For creators is highly recommended.
Okay.
I think if you're building a ang problema kasi Sir Burns is that like if anyone becomes famous as a creator, whether kahit anong platform, you're not going to be famous forever.
Right.
Like
That's true.
someday you're going to be a downtrend. Someday na parang nandito ka na sa baba.
Right.
However, if you have this separate community, like it can be Instagram community or Facebook community, it doesn't matter. Like those people will be loyal to you. You have to be like very very authentic and transparent to your community, because these platforms is a content platform. You
Right.
show to entertain, to make people
Yeah.
aware, whatever.
But is that not hard then? Because that means you sort of have to treat every content creator like a long-term partner, right? Because building a community is not overnight.
No, okay.
So you sort of have to treat them like your long-term partners, long-term assets.
That is true. So us as an agency, we help it would be very very hard if you will be handling so much creators. You have to build communities for each one of them. We do help some creators building this, but I think like if a creator really sees their own value and are really honest with themselves, like oh, I'm not going to be famous like until like 5 years from now. Better yet, build a community around my following right now. And it'll be hard. It is hard,
Right.
but it's just the right way to do. Like that's what all big creators are doing today.
Right,
It's
right.
about like if you're doing it correctly. I think
There's always a conversation about macro influencers, micro influencers, nano influencers. Do you guys categorize your content creators that way
Yes,
also?
of course.
And then there's that myth that, okay, you want conversions, you go micro nano, you want top funnel, you want macro. Like, is that a myth or is that real?
Kasi ang galing Sir Bernard, kasi you really see it. Like parang, I mean, this is amazing that we are very aligned and we understand each other. For me, it's a yes or no. And 60% of my answer there is technically yes. But it's a battle of quality and quantity. If you want small creators or small affiliates to convert, then you have to have so many affiliates, like probably thousands.
Right.
And we are in the business model of that right now. Pero at the end of the day, big creators, although focusing on awareness, if you partner with the right creator that has the algorithm or that has the audience that converts, then
Right.
you're doing the right thing as well. That's where the no.
What's the most complex social commerce campaign that you guys have run? Like, meaning requiring X dozens of influencers.
Oh, I see. I think I wouldn't say we have any complex campaigns. Reason why is because we have our set packages na ipapakita namin sa mga brands, and if they do have requests, like for example, hey, like our maximum number of cables for one package is around, if I'm not mistaken, around 500 or 800, and the brand comes to us, hey, we need 2,000, something like that.
Right.
Okay, then get two packages.
Okay.
That's basically the logic. So
Okay.
para sa akin, it's not about like, hey, I need number of cables. It's about like, if you want to avail the package, and
Right. Like if here's the outcome you want and here's what this can deliver,
yeah,
and you need that number, then you need two of these, three of these, and so
yeah.
on and so
I think
forth.
like I revise a question a little bit. If ang question is like, which is the most complex scenario that we've worked with? So I think like, if a brand as of today don't understand the potential or how TikTok works, because sometimes like we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to educate like what
Oh
TikTok, what
yeah. Oh yeah.
like
Story of my life here.
keep on repeating and repeating, because like
Yeah.
you're not always going to talk with Gen Zs or even millennials, but sometimes you have to talk with the bigger higher ups, like what's the potential and how TikTok works.
Right.
And sometimes like there are brands that see only one type of marketing is working on TikTok. Just an example.
Yeah.
Oh, I won't do affiliate marketing. I already have oh sorry. I won't do e-com on TikTok shop. I already have affiliates.
Yeah,
Or
that's the top funnel there.
oh yeah, I won't do live social shopping because I have affiliates.
Right.
What or I won't do ads because I have affiliates, whatever.
Right.
So what we do at M-commerce is that we offer all pillars to succeed on TikTok. We have
Okay.
affiliate marketing, we have live social shopping, we have ads management, we have what else? So yeah, different things. So kami ang ginagawa namin, we make sure if the brands comes to us, nandito nakalatag na lahat ng pillars. If you want to succeed on TikTok, then get all of them.
Right.
If you want to focus on one, doesn't matter. Gusto mo mag a la carte, no problem.
Right.
So yeah, that's how it
So
works.
I guess same banana for us, or we tell them, we don't have to service everything. But you can have different providers for the different pillars, but as long as they all talk to each other so that you get the most bang for your buck, right? Because your website and your Google ads and your social media ads, they can work in silos.
That is true. That is true. Sa amin, yeah, technically yes. For us, of course, I'm sure you experience the same, wherein you have 10 things to offer to the brand. However, they already have 5 agencies for 5 the
Yeah.
brands. For us, like we see the success if all the pillars is under one roof.
Right.
So that's how we see it.
So back to customer behaviors, like who manages the analytics after a campaign? You guys do or the brands do?
It's really a mix eh. Kasi in order for you to succeed on TikTok or do it properly, you have to have media buying, of course.
Right.
Media buying has all this data.
Right.
Like us, if we do work with affiliates or creators, we can't even see like who or how much percentage this K will like how much percentage of the viewers watch for 6 seconds or whatever. That's not available to us. It's available on the media buying part, like the ads team.
Right.
And analytics more on sa brand naman, it depends on their demand, I would say.
Right.
Like some brands have like so many metrics they're looking at. There's ROI, there's CPM, there's XYZ. For us, there's for other brand partners, they're not looking for that, whatever.
Right.
They're looking at the macro perspective on how is my overall performance on TikTok working. That's how they see it.
Right.
And those are the best brands to work
Right.
with because they want success, the macro perspective, but you can look at like every single small thing. That's not a problem with us. But the best brands we've worked with is only looking at.
Are you seeing clear changes to social commerce behavior, e-commerce behavior coming from, let's say, on the customer side? For example, right, like Philippine COD transactions have been like 89% of transactions for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then in the last 3 years, the total number or the penetration rate of credit cards in the Philippines has gone up to, I think, 15 million, so around 12.9% of Filipinos have. And for the longest time, it was like 3.6, 3.8% of Filipinos have credit cards. 1/3 of that growth comes from Gen Z, actually. Like people that are, actually, to be accurate, it's about 27 years old and younger are holders of 1/3 of all of these new credit cards. Does it necessarily translate to more online payments from what you guys are seeing? Or is online payments still looking like eh, it's looked like 89% for the past 3 years COD.
Yeah, that's something actually na I don't have the numbers on top of my head. Um, However, what I can say is that babalik ko lang siya yung kanina when we were talking earlier before this podcast is that um yung the reason for the growth could be is because yung mga Gen Z is tumatanda na.
Yeah,
So they like
yeah.
since
That that's true. You're right. You're right.
so since tumatanda na sila, these are the times that where they're getting debit cards or credit
Right.
cards. And I
Kasi we are starting to talk about the Gen Greek letters, right? Like the Gen Alphas.
yeah. So for me, how I see it, Sir Bernard, is that I feel like that's a major factor as well.
Right.
I feel like, of course, we can debate about trust. Do they trust the platform? It's always about the maturity of the platform. Okay.
Right.
For example, Shopee or Lazada, before, I wouldn't put my credit card, but because I trust the
Yeah.
platform so well now, then it's no problem with me. I trust
Yeah.
them. Same goes with other platforms
So
now.
I'll say last bit, like let's say let's do 2 elevator pitches. So how would you pitch to a brand that might be afraid of doing TikTok selling, even though they have a Gen Z audience? They might be afraid of doing TikTok selling for fear of baka ma-cheapen yung brand. Like, how would you elevator pitch a brand like that?
I would say 80% ng Pilipino nasa social media. And
Right.
then 62 million of Filipinos are on TikTok.
Right.
Meaning,
It's
if you
huge.
do, yeah, that's so huge. If you do TikTok right, then you reach more than half of the
Right.
Filipinos. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, the question today is not why would you do TikTok? The question is
Yeah.
why would you not do TikTok?
Right.
Like, if you have a store in a mall, you reach maybe hundreds of thousands, or maybe 1
Right.
million, 2 million, no problem. A
Right.
month. TikTok, you reach like 50 times that.
Right.
And I think like that's just basically going to be my pitch. It's like if you don't do TikTok, then you're losing 60, reaching 262
Okay.
million.
So what would you say though? So let's say si Meta sabi niya, okay, sige, fine, you got 63 million. I got 89. You should sell on Meta.
I think I always go back to the funnel.
Right,
And
like, and who your audience is, right?
of course, and para sa akin, like the question is like, how do we make the funnel very successful
Yeah.
from awareness until loyalty?
Right.
And I feel like I'm not close to Meta. I feel like Meta has the
Yeah.
great tawag dito, potential. And you might not know this. Like you might. Like I'm not sure, but recently lang YouTube shopping is growing.
Yeah.
Would you buy on YouTube? I wouldn't. Like
Yeah.
I used to not believe. But YouTube shopping is growing.
Yeah.
So like if we're saying now, hey, don't do Meta, don't do Facebook, don't do Instagram, my friend, like this is the time that you learn.
Yeah.
This is the time that you invest your time.
right.
Sir Burns, let's download Meta. Let's download Facebook and Instagram. But anyways, the
I'd buy from YouTube because I'm a Gen Xer.
talaga.
I would.
Oh, really?
I would buy from
Did you buy?
YouTube.
Ever?
Not yet. Not yet. But I have seen live selling. Like I have seen selling on
Actually, like, what's interesting is that, like, the growth, I'm not sure about live selling, kamusta yung growth sa YouTube, but the growth in conversion in watching a video is going high.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that YouTube, but
Yeah.
anyways, like,
The only thing I've ever bought live selling are toys.
oh,
Right? And the only reason I found out is because I was walking around Green Hills
mm,
and the toy arcade was so noisy and I'm like, what's going on
Yes,
here?
yes,
And
yes.
I'm seeing the people there that are
mm,
live selling their toys and it's not my go-to. Like my go-to is still brick and mortar,
of
walk around the
course.
shop, right? Like, but there, like if you're a collector, there's a piece you're missing. No, I guess sort of like if you're a sneakerhead, like wala kang choice. You have to go to the avenue where the niche product you're looking for might still be available.
Yes.
And to me, I would be platform agnostic. Like I wouldn't care if I was looking for, let's say, an AMK Pro Megatron, which is so hard to find. But trust me, it's hard to find.
Alam ko na yung
It's got
regalo.
metal legs. So, let's say an AMK Pro Megatron.
Ah,
I wouldn't care if I got that from TikTok or Meta, let's say YouTube, Lazada, Shopee. I don't care. What matters is that I get it, right? Like, so there are certain products that you would be, I say, platform agnostic to if you are a certain type of purchaser.
Of course.
Right? Like, because I mean, when it comes to Transformers, I'm already a very irrational buyer. Right? Like, that's one last example. Uh, I would say, last thing I would say is ad standards. Like, how do you guys make sure that you satisfy ethical requirements from ad standards or whatnot? Like, in the last ad standards council meeting in the Philippines, like the big event that they did, I think influencers have become such a big deal that they actually had a panel full of influencers. I loved it. I thought it was perfect. Like, I go like, wow, these guys are in with the times, no? And I'm glad that they were having conversations that involved influencers. How mindful do you guys have to be about content that is produced by influencers, by KOLs, by online sellers?
Well, yeah, it's a great question. I feel like someone from the council is watching this video now, like, parang, how the commerce does it? But of course, the number one touch base talaga is really to be very dapat alam namin kung ano yung pwede at hindi pwede.
Right.
We have to comply, of course.
And sometimes the brand will give you that, right?
That's actually there's where I'm going. Like for us, especially international brands, they already have this ultimate book.
Oh, yeah.
And then like sobrang haba siya, and then we need to read like ano ba yung pwede. But sometimes the brand managers are already aware and they already know the common things not to mention. But I think my answer would be we're still very careful. And make sure, I think like yung pinaka-goal kasi, Sir Bernard, is like as long as they give authentic feedback on their experience, it doesn't matter. We're not destroying what the Philippines stand for. And before I just like to touch base and touch on that, like where like there's this like council and sobrang dami influencers. What's funny is that I worked with like more than 10 international brands the past year, and we saw that Philippines is actually, I wouldn't say stricter, but they're actually like I wouldn't say, basta parang ano na sila, parang they're getting, like the Philippines is getting evolve on how what KOLs or creators do on platforms. And
or I'd say we're starting to take them seriously as a channel.
that is true.
Right?
And just to add one last thing, I think like I'm going to mention this on my talk on Thursday, but to succeed on TikTok, you have to have a good product, which is common for many brands. Good content, which is us, what we do, and then good platform, which is TikTok, Shopee, whatever. But good platform is actually today creators. Creators are the platforms. They're the channel. So I think since before kailangan mabantayan ng Pilipinas yung mga platforms natin, there's a whole new world of creators, and they are, the platforms na today, so they have to be very involved na rin and see what they do.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay, I wish we had more time, but I'll conclude this episode. Let's do a part 2.
Please
Let's do a
do.
part 2. And to everybody that's listening, I want to thank you very much for joining us on another episode of the podcast. This is produced by our friends at Pod Machine and by our marketing team, who I want to acknowledge for their effort. I will see you guys again for the next episode. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to the Truelogic DX podcast, an audio production show for people who want to take their digital marketing game to the next level. Truelogic DX is powered by Pod Machine. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow at Truelogic on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Check out our website at www.truelogic.com.ph for more information on digital marketing. And make sure to catch our upcoming episodes on your favorite podcast network. Until next time,